I've been an executive career coach for a little over a year now, and I've learned some really interesting things about this whole industry. I've been an executive for the last 13 or 14 years, actively working in companies, and I only did coaching as kind of a hobby and things that I did to help friends move up in their careers, and then decided last year, after fighting leukemia and winning, that I wanted to change my career and focus primarily on coaching because this is very filling for me. But I've learned a few things about this industry that are interesting, and I wanted to share those with you today. My name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Vertical Motion, where we help mid-career professionals become executives. If that's interesting to you, then check a link in the description or check the main video on the channel to learn more about what that program is like. But let's talk about what executive coaches are like and what executive coaching in general is like. Well, the first thing to know is that there are many types of executive coaches, and it's a little bit daunting when you first set out to try to figure out, well, who is the right person to help me? And one of the things that I've noticed is that not a lot of these executive coaches are good at marketing, promoting, and branding themselves outside of a small bubble. We're all kind of like these mom and pop coaches. There are a couple like large coach mill programs, but those don't offer the best quality. So it is a little bit like finding a therapist or finding a doctor. It's like you kind of have to search around for a little bit to find the right person for you. I've learned that there are personality styles that don't work great with me, or I don't work great with them. And I look for a specific type of person to work with. I specifically look for people who are highly authentic, empathetic, and audacious, meaning they want to actually go build something great, but they want to build something that empowers a team as opposed to just themselves. They're not very selfish people. So that's my style of people to work with. That may not be you, and you may actually resonate with a different kind of coach who wants to help you accomplish different things or the same things in a different way. So the first thing to understand about executive coaches is that there are very different kinds of coaches that are out there. Not only are there different personalities of coaches, but there's also different areas of focus that coaches really hone in on. So for example, there are coaches that are leadership coaches, and what they do is they help you learn how to inspire, motivate, and move your team forward. They focus on giving you the skills that you need to be a better leader specifically, right? But there's also executive coaches that are business coaches, and those are the coaches that help you plan out your organization and think strategically about what it is that your business is trying to accomplish. And they help you organize your leadership team with the right people, with the right skill sets and the right personality styles in the right roles. So two very different types of coaches right there. There are also performance coaches who are there to help you achieve your peak performance in multiple ways. They focus on helping you with your calendar, for example, executive time management, or with your habits, or 4-hour morning routine that involves a cold plunge and other stuff. The point is that performance coaches are there to help you achieve your peak level of performance, which can in turn hopefully help motivate your team to do their best as well. And then of course there's career coaches. These are coaches that help you when you get stuck in your career. I specifically work with people that are stuck at the mid-career level. So they're at a senior manager or junior director or a very high level individual contributor role, and they can't quite seem to figure out how to get to the executive ranks. They're stuck there. That's what I focus on. There are other executive career coaches who focus on different levels. So for example, someone that is already a senior vice president looking to become CEO, there are coaches that specifically focus on them. We also do have a mastermind program inside the Executive Career Accelerator for those that have achieved the executive level and want to move higher in their career. So that's an entirely different style of offer than the executive career coaching we do for mid-career professionals. Two entirely different sets of skills and two entirely different focuses and two entirely different delivery mechanisms. The ECA has a very clear program and a course attached to it with workshops and all kinds of things that you go through step by step. At the mastermind, this is more of a let's work one-to-one individually as a small group with other peer executives and work through challenges that are at a higher level. So very different styles even of executive career coaching. There are also skills coaches that teach you specific skills such as negotiation, public speaking, or communication or presentation skills. Like, so all these executives who have to go on CNBC and talk about their company's financial performance, there are coaches that teach them that skill of getting asked the hard questions by reporters and knowing how to answer them without blowing up the company stock. So all kinds kinds of skills like that there are coaches for. There are emotional intelligence coaches for people who may suffer from a lack of empathy or have not always been their most authentic self and don't really know how to open up and communicate emotionally to their employees. So emotional intelligence coaches help you raise your EQ to match your IQ in order to be successful as a leader. There are also life coaches for executives, and these help executives manage their entire life, not just their work. And I do a part of this. Part of our program at the Executive Career Accelerator, the very first module is teaching you how to figure out what your life purpose is and how that relates to your work, if at all. Some people don't have a life purpose clearly defined. They don't know what it is that really drives and motivates and inspires them. And quite honestly, that's probably because the last 10 to 15 years of your career, you've been doing things that you don't enjoy and don't feel inspired by the work that you do. So that whole feeling that you used to have as a kid that one day I want to be an astronaut or a pilot or a doctor or whatever, that's all gone because you've repressed those feelings. You've repressed that. And so executive life coaches can help you pull that out and really understand, reconnect with yourself. When you reconnect with yourself and you understand what it is that's important to you, what your values are, it helps you make better decisions about how to move your career forward. You may choose to take less money to work with the perfect culture, for example, or work for a mission that matters to you, a nonprofit versus a for-profit. There are things like that are important to understand. You may also decide, I don't really want to connect my career to my life purpose. And in that case, then you figure out how to work to live. So you put work in a box and then you take whatever time, money, and resources you have and apply that to something that you love. And that could be cooking or volunteering or a number of things. So executive life coaches are there to help you kind of sort those challenges out. And of course, there are executive presence coaches. Executive presence is one of the most important skills to learn in order to become an executive. You have to look and sound the part. And so there are coaches that are out there that specifically focus on how to build and grow your executive presence. One of my favorites is Sylvia M. Hewlett, who has a book called Executive Presence 2.0 that she was just released in 2023. Phenomenal book. It's actually an update from a book that she published back in 2013 on executive presence, which has been the seminal work on what executive presence is actually defined as, which, to say it very shortly, executive presence is the gravitas or the weight that you have in a space. When you walk into a room, do people sit up a little bit taller? Do they pay attention? Do they recognize the boss is here? We need to really lean in and pay attention and show up ourselves, right? Imagine if you're in a restaurant and Brad Pitt sits down next to you. You're going to take notice of that because it's Brad Pitt. Whether you like the actor or not, he's still an A-list person, and that's kind of a big deal. So you're going to take note of that. So executive career coaches help with creating that presence and that aura of gravitas, that all of those things that executive presence is made up of, which is a bunch of soft skills. And there's a whole video on this channel just talking about executive presence. But there are coaches who focus just on that. So you can see there are a lot of different kinds of executive coaches, and understanding which one you should work with really comes down to where you are and where you're trying to go. I've learned that the best coaches are the ones who walk you on a path from A to B. You're starting here. You know that you're in a role that you don't love. You're not sure you like even wanting to move up in this career because you're not sure if you really enjoy this work, or maybe you enjoy the work, but you hate the company you're working for, or there's just a lot of fear and sadness and you're watching your organization slide downwards instead of growing, and it's just kind of miserable, right? You can be in that place and then you can picture in your mind, I want to be in this place where I'm in a higher level role in a culture that values me, that wants me to be in the meetings and wants to hear my opinion and thoughts on how we should move things forward. And that's an important part of all things, to help us feel engaged in our careers, is to be connected to the work. And so you're wanting to move up, but you also want to move in. You want to lean into your work more, and you want the work to lean into you as well. So walking that path from A to B is specifically what what I focus on. I help, like I said, mid-career professionals become executives. And then we have a mastermind that helps executives take the next step in their career. And these are two separate paths that are linked at the end point of becoming an executive. But each path is very individual to each person. So we wind up building a lot of tools and frameworks that don't apply to everyone. And the way that we work with each client is very individualized and specific. And it's that way because everyone shows up in a different place and needs a different path forward. So we help them individually take that path forward. We have walked that path hundreds of times ourselves and with other people, but we've learned that some people need certain shortcuts and some people don't. Some people need to learn new skills and take the long way, and some people don't. So there's all these nuances around this path from mid-career professional to executive that we've learned. I've actually just made a video that talks about some of the skills and experiences that we've picked up as coaches from coaching for the past year. So like, it's always a learning process for both the clients and the coaches, but this is what we focus on. This is what we do. So if that's what you're trying to do, is move up from the mid-career level to the executive level, work with a coach who does that. If you're trying to do something different, if you are at the executive level and you just want to get a better job, you don't really like need to move up, you don't need to upskill, you just like don't know how to network. There are career coaches that are out there that are fantastic at helping you find your next executive job. That may not be what we do. Our mastermind program is really geared to help executives level up to the next level in their career, as opposed to just finding the next executive job that's kind of at the same level at what you are now. So if you're looking to move upwards, that's what we do. If you want to move laterally, there are other coaches that are great at that. And then finally, there are all kinds of executive coaches that are out there that have nothing to do with your executive career, but really just skilling up some executive skills that are important for you to continue to do better in the role that you're in today. Those coaches tend to be paid for by the company that you work for. So it's not uncommon to have an executive coach assigned to you by your HR department or your hiring manager so that you can become a better employee and or executive for the organization. So this was just a quick primer on the types of executive coaches that are out there. Like I said, I focus on career coaching for people that are at the mid-career level to want to move up to the executive level. We also have a mastermind that helps executives from the base executive level move up higher through the executive ranks, eventually to the C-suite and even beyond that. So if that's interesting to you, again, learn more by going to the main video on the channel, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at TomCoxVM, direct message me and we'll have a conversation about your situation. But I hope this is helpful and I will see you in the next one.